The final two questions are probably the most important questions that we're going to go over. And honestly, if you only focused on two questions on this review, I would make those questions 10 and 11. We're doing two things in these questions, and they're the two most essential skills that we are studying for this particular test. We are solving an equation for y, that is, we're moving it into slope-intercept form, and then we are going to graph that line once we've moved it into a y equals form. Remember, my slope-intercept form is y is equal to mx plus b. So I have to be able to move this equation, which is presently in standard form, into y equals form. Then I'll be able to graph it. So negative 4x plus 8y is equal to 16. First, I must move the x term. Since it's negative, I'm going to move the x term by adding it to both sides, plus 4x. Negative 4x plus 4x is 0, so that cancels out. I bring down 8y, and I rewrite my equation, 16 plus 4x. Notice I do one step at a time. Please don't try to do multiple steps at a time. Now I'm going to divide everything by the coefficient of y, which is 8. When I do, I get y is equal to 2 plus 4 over 8, which reduces to 1 over 2x. Now that I have that, I will note that the 2 that is by itself, the number by itself or the constant, that is my y-intercept. A constant is just a number that doesn't have a variable. Okay, it's a number by itself. My y-intercept here is known as a b value. This 1/2, or the coefficient of x, remember, just the number in front of the x. The x is not part of the slope, just the number in front of it. That coefficient is my m value. Using this knowledge, we're going to end up taking these two things, and we are going to go and graph first the y-intercept. Then after that, we're going to use the slope to calculate our rise over the run, and we'll be able to graph this line. Let's move over to Edge Elastic so that we can actually see this in progress. Remember, first I need to graph my y-intercept. In this particular case, that is a 2. I will click line AB and I click on 2. Now notice, my A point is in the correct place, but I need to click and drag my B point. My B point, I need to go rise 1 and run 2. Rise over run. So I would go up 1 and over 2 with my B value. And that's where it needs to go. And now I've graphed that line. Notice if I didn't solve this correctly for y, none of this would work, right? So it's important that you solve it correctly to begin with. Let's move back over. I'm going to erase some of this, and we're going to do number 11. Number 11 is very similar. You will have two of these questions on the test. Very important that you know how to do them. 11 asks me to solve negative 5x plus 10y is equal to 30. Again, I need to move this into slope-intercept form. Once I do that, I can graph it. So I'll write it down. Again, do this one step at a time. So important. I really can't say that enough. A lot of mistakes are made when we try to work too quickly, or we get a little touch lazy maybe, and we don't do every step that we need to. I'm going to add the 5x to both sides here. I get 10y is equal to 30 plus 5x. Now I need to divide by the number in front of the y. I do that with each and every term. When I do, I get y is equal to 3 plus 5 over 10 reduces to 1 over 2. And then I have to write my x. And there it is. That's my equation in slope-intercept form. We'll switch over to Edge Elastic to go ahead and graph it. My y-intercept is at my 3, so I'll click line AB, and I'll click 3 on the y-axis. Now my A point is in the correct place, but I need to move that B point, so I click and drag it around. In this case, I'm going to rise 1, run 2,